Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna. This is Coffee, Books, and Bullet Journals. This video has been a long time coming. I'm going to talk about how I rate my books. Alright, so I have been on BookTube for a little over a year now, and I actually did a video about this time last year on how I did my star rating systems, and it worked great for then, but I wanted to do something a little bit different, especially as I changed what I was reading, how I was reading it. I'm doing things a little bit more critically now, and so I wanted a star rating system that kind of reflected that. If you've watched my previous wrap-ups the past couple of months, you've noticed I've implemented the half stars, and there's a reason for that. It's not just because I want to be more difficult or make my averages even weirder than they already are. There's actually a reason for that. And so that is because I have actually decided to kind of create this system in how I rate my books, rather than just getting to the end of the book being like, that was about a 3-star book. It's okay, but, or like being like, yes, this is a 5-star book, or vice versa, this is a 1-star book. I don't want to rely on my gut so much as my math. So I actually have come up with 5 different criteria for how I rate my books. So that is characters, atmosphere or world building, how I felt about that, writing style, so the way that the author is physically writing things, using proper grammar, using the correct words, that kind of thing. Plot, which is how the story moves along, if I think that there were plot holes, if the plot made sense, if what the characters were doing made sense and furthered the plot, or if it just kind of they were doing it on their own. And then the last one is enjoyment, which is just like, did I actually enjoy reading the book? Was I able to like not, or could I not put it down? Did I need to know what happened next? That kind of thing. So that one's a little bit more of a gut reaction and not so much analytical, but that's just one portion of it. So this is going to get really confusing, probably, and probably is a lot more work than I needed to. So first I'm going to talk about the reasons why I decided to change this based on like my ratings last year. So we'll start with a book that if you watched some of my vlogs back in December, my wrap up in December, you know that I had some serious problems with the writing style of this book. But I actually enjoyed it, and I actually really liked the plot. But based on my ratings, or based on like I was just doing gut feelings, this book ended up getting a 2-star. I didn't go and do the math. I didn't see if my rating would have changed had I been using this year's rating. But that was 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. This book had so many problems with the writing style, and that ended up taking me out of the story when I was reading it. But I really liked the plot, and I enjoyed the characters, and so yeah, this was a 2-star book for me because I couldn't get out of the headspace of she didn't know how to write. So I think it got bumped down several stars, rather than just kind of seeing if just being one aspect of my rating system. Similarly, but on the other end of the other side of that coin, Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Neon. This one ended up being a top book of 2018. I loved it, and it was because I very, very much enjoyed it. I couldn't put it down, and then I also very much loved the diversity and the female empowerment in this book. But there again are some writing problems with it. There are some, like, the dialogue, as I was kind of, I didn't get to finish this in February when my group was reading this because I wasn't able to participate in the live show, and I just had so many other things going on in March. So I actually did not rate this based on my 2019 rating system. And I don't know if maybe I looked past that because I loved the diversity. I loved the female empowerment. I loved the struggles that these characters were going through. They were my babies. But I don't know if maybe I would have rated it lower if I had this analytical system to it. So those are the reasons behind why I changed up my ratings starting in 2019, but I want to kind of talk to you about how I am doing it and what each, instead of just kind of feeling like on a gut reaction, though this was a 2-star book, oh, this was a 4-star book, the thought process behind each individual criteria, and then how that averages out to a Goodreads rating. Okay, so Goodreads only does 1 to 5 stars. They don't do half stars, so I kind of have to like round up or down. I kind of just have to decide that, and I will talk about that in a second. But I still wanted to do this on a scale of 1 to 10, or not 1 to 10, of 1 to 5. That way it's easy to translate to Goodreads. So in each of the 5 categories, I give a 1 to 5 rating, including half stars. So it might be a 3.5, it might be a 2.5, it might be a 4, whatever. And so each of those areas get a 1 to 5 rating. And then those 5 average out to be my average star rating. Okay, so I'm going to give you a physical example. Hopefully that helps you, and then maybe you can understand this. This is working in my brain. I have a spreadsheet on my stats book in on Excel, and that it's just an extra tab, and I break it down. I'm a little bit of a nerd. If you didn't know, I love statistics. Absolutely love them. So this is kind of one of those things that just kind of played right into that. So let's talk about A Man Called Ova by Fredrik Backman. This book was considered a 5-star read for me. It got 5 stars on Goodreads. But let's break it down and we'll talk about the individual criteria and what each one got, and then hopefully that will make sense to you. Now I'm going to be looking at my computer. I don't have this memorized, so if I'm looking off camera, that is why. But let's talk about this. All right, so A Man Called Ova. Characters, got a 5-star. I loved the characters. Ova was my heart and soul, and I loved him. I could not, my heart broke for him. So, and then I also loved the little kids in it. It was a 5-star reaction. The atmosphere was 4.5 stars. So this was still, you kind of knew about where they lived. They were in Scandinavia. It talked about the early mornings and the foggy mornings when he would walk outside. But it's still a contemporary world, and so I'm not like, ooh, angels don't sing. Like they do. Like world building in fantasy tends to get better ratings than world building in contemporaries. For me, writing style was a 5-star rating. I love Fredrik Backman's writing. It's just like I've become obsessed with it, and the way that he flowed, the words just flow. It was just perfect. I loved it. The way he describes things, perfect. Plot was a 4. Because this is more of a character-driven story. There's not a lot of plot that happens. The man just wants to die. And he just keeps trying to die. And then he kind of gets to the point where he's, okay with still being here on Earth. But this is a very character-driven book. So, lower rating on the plot. Enjoyment, 5 stars. Absolutely love this book. Couldn't put it down. I think I finished it in 2 or 3 days, which is pretty good for a big book like this. And yes, I wanted to know what happened, how the book finished. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. So if you average all of those 5 out, we end up with a 4.7. So what do you do with a 4.7? Because I don't want to do 4.25, 4.75. I don't want to do the 1/4 and 3/4 stars. That's just too much. So here's how we do that. If it ends up being 0.0 to 0.3, so if it would have been a point, like a 4.2, 4.3, then it would have been a 4-star book. If it is a 0.4, 0.5, or 0.6, then it becomes a 0.5 book, so 4.5 stars. So this one ended up being a 0.7, 4.7, so it's 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, you round up to 5. So therefore, this became a 5-star book. All right, another example would be Circe by Madeline Miller. Now, this book is kind of all over the place in ratings, and I think this is why people focus on one thing and not another thing. So this is a good way to average all of those things out. So characters, this got a 4. I love the characters in this book. I love Cersei. I love, I don't know what the guy's name at the end was, but it's been a few months since I've read this book. All right, so 4 stars. I did very much enjoy the characters. I enjoyed the wit that Cersei had. I loved it when she like stood up to her dad and she's like, F you. All right, atmosphere, 5 stars. Like, if anything, this book is known for its world building. This book is known for its way of being able to create a world and describe it very, very well. So, obviously, this is going to get a 5-star on that. Same with the writing style. Madeline Miller is known for very lyrical writing, and that's great. I loved the writing style of this. So, 5 stars for that. And then here's where we kind of go down from there. The plot. This got 2 stars. I did not like the plot of this. I don't really like epic stories where this translates hundreds of years. It just feel like it went too fast for me, and I wasn't able to keep up. And so it was hard for me to remember what was going on, remember like that, okay, the next step is not anywhere, like we don't care about what happened before. Now this is something new. And so I didn't like that as much. And then the same thing with that, that's kind of on the same theme. The enjoyment was only a 2 because I kept getting lost. And so I wasn't enjoying what I was reading. And I felt like I had to keep rereading things. So we had some 2 stars. So we have 2-star and we have 5-star. Both in that, talking about the same book. And I think that's why people either rate this 5-star or 2-star. Because they either really, really love the world building and the writing style and the characters, or they really don't like the plot or the way that it's, you know, the epic storytelling, that kind of thing. Or vice versa. I don't know. This is my opinion. This is how I read this book. I'm doing disclaimers. I shouldn't do disclaimers. This is my channel. Anyways, so if you average that out, this was a 3.6. So, therefore, I got because it was in that 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, this got a 3.5 stars. Another reason that I really wanted to kind of break down my star ratings and do things a little bit differently is because I do read a lot of smut on my channel. And I felt bad about making, giving a smutty book a 4 or 5-star rating because there's not any plot to it. Usually it's just guy meets girl, girl likes guy wants to bang girl. That's pretty much your story. But based on this, I get to rate the smutty books that I like a little bit higher. What was happening was I was reading this smutty book that I loved. I couldn't find anything wrong with it. I really, really liked it. And so I gave it 3 stars, which is the same rating that I would just give an average book of any other genre. That doesn't make any sense. So that's why I wanted to break this down a little bit differently. Does that make sense? Cool. I feel like I've probably lost a lot of you, and I apologize. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them. All right, guys, so that is all I have for you today. I hope that you were able to understand that a little bit, get into my little nerdy statistical brain a little bit, and yeah. Hopefully that made sense. If you have any questions or you would like to know more about it or you want me to talk about it more, leave a comment down below and I will definitely join in the comments down there or maybe go into a little bit more detail if I need to. If you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little red button that you can do so down below the video, and all of the links to my social medias are in the description below if you would like to be my friend on any other platform. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.